one of the things that's hard for a lot of people is, and it's worse now than it was back in the day. When there was just magazines like Strength and Health, and Bob Hoffman would say something, it was in a magazine, you'd read it, and then you'd maybe ask the other guys in the gym who read Strength and Health, and what do you think of this? And they'd be like, he's a phony, and they tell you a story. Well, the nice thing about that is only once a month would you get hit with something that was kind of stupid. Well, when I was young, certain cults started to show up, and I got to be careful about it. That's not necessarily what I mean, but that's an easy way to understand it. When machines started showing up, and I got to tell you, the Universal machine was great. There's a lot of good to it. When the Nautilus machines showed up, you can't argue with the quality of the Nautilus machines. But what happened is you had Arthur Jones and Ellington Darden, both quality. I mean, I think I've had several conversations with Ellington, though he always forgets that we did talk. They became a little bit like high intensity training. And if you don't improve, you're doing something wrong. And then some other things started showing up. And you'll see this in a lot of authors, you're not following the program, and if somehow you deviate from the program as written or what we're all doing, there's something wrong with you. In my own career, and so some of I've been writing online since 1998. My journals, my workout journals, and this is my current one, go back to 1970. I've been doing this a long time, and I've been right about a lot. It's funny, when I wrote that book, 40 Years with the Whistle, I realized that I've been right a lot. The mistakes I've made is when I've fallen for it. And for 2 years, I did Nautilus. And there was some value to it. After about the first 6 weeks, it was great. I did CrossFit for a while, and I'm not sure I ever got any value out of it. But for example, when I tried this thing we call now Easy Strength, which you can read all about in the resources in the download area on the site, man, it was a game changer for me, especially late in my career. And I still argue that if you want to just get strong, do Easy Strength. But I've never been much of someone called me a guru one time, and that really bothered me. For one thing, I teach religious studies. And so, there's a touch. I mean, I'm not trying to be politically correct or anything, but there is a touch of ism to that. It's not an appropriate term to use for someone like myself. I'm a strength coach, and I write books. And if you like what I write, you read more, and that's yay for everyone. But what happened with this question about this kettlebell program last week is I'm pretty convinced a lot of people who commented, and I'm sure there's comments on all kinds of forums I can't get to too. I don't think people listen to my point. The point I was trying to make, and let's go into 3 parts here, if you don't mind. Point number 1, if you have a question about a specific program that is written by a person who's alive, I mean, I think it's smart to either ask that person or any of their leadership or followers or people in the know. Asking someone like myself who's, and the one person kept saying, well, you wrote an article about it. Well, actually, Mike Brown wrote an article about it, and then I just added some fluff. But so first, generally, ask the people who do the program. If you got an injury, if your shoulders hurt constantly from kipping pull-ups because you do CrossFit, don't ask me. I don't believe in kipping pull-ups. I think, to me, it just looks like a way to get yourself into shoulder surgery. Now, if I was a shoulder surgeon, I'd be all for them. The second would be this, is you always need to make sure you listen to everything I'm trying to say. I take great pride in being a very prudent person. I look on both sides of the issue. I am a moderate in practically everything. I have the rare ability in the United States in 2019 to listen to both sides of an argument. I don't instantly fall into one side or the other. Doesn't mean I don't have opinions, but it means I do listen. And so when you ask me a question, you're going to get a bit broader framed response. The question was about whether this person could do just half Turkish get-ups versus Turkish get-ups. Well, And as I tried to point out, no one's putting a gun to your head. It's just a training program. And I guess the third thing is one person, and it's nice because the person emailed me and apologized, but they sort of raised the flag that I'm a hypocrite. And boy, I'm a hypocrite about a lot of things in life, but I don't think I'm a hypocrite when it comes to how I coach. My vision is always on the long term, even when the nationals are this weekend. As I told my wife one time, I was watching one of my athletes just fail miserably at the most important track meet of this person's life. And I was sitting there next to my wife, and it was obvious it was going downhill. And she said, "What are you going to tell him?" And I said, my job is to remind this person that, and just like the Kahil Gibran, the author, the poet of about a century ago, he's often known as the prophet, one day you'll look back and you'll be extremely happy. And the seed of that happiness will be this terrible day today. So for me, I'm always trying to encourage my athletes. I go to their weddings, I hold their babies, I send them money when they graduate or get their doctorate. Or, for example, I had a conversation today with my attorney, who's also one of my former students, and we were joking about a lecture I gave when he was in the 9th grade. To me, this to me is a long-term investment if I'm helping you. And so as I sit back and I saw some of the negative stuff being written, not only in the comments but on different forums, I guess, and I'm not saying I'm wounded because it's, I'm not afraid of somebody who types at a typewriter, types on a computer and someplace. But it bothered me because I think it took away from my intention of trying to help this person. So there you go.